Peter Fraser has owned and managed his farm in Rosebank, New South Wales for more than 30 years. Under Peter's management, the farm has achieved an average nut and shell yield of more than 4.5 tonnes per hectare over the last 8 years. That's almost 2 tonnes per hectare, higher than the average of the benchmark sample. Peter believes his use of organic matter and focus on soil health is a key contributor to this high productivity.
We mow everything with zero-turn mowers under the tree rows to reduce the need for herbicides. We don't use herbicides at all, so we're constantly building up organic matter under the trees. Use the leaves which are falling because of with the growth, and any prunings and any windbreaks you might have put up and want to remove. Storm damage, tree removal, row removal, all this presents your best resource of organic matter at no cost, or very little cost, because it's right there. Most of your cost of organic matter is from transport costs to get it to your farm. So if it's on your farm and you just have to put it in the right place, it saves, it's much cheaper.
Peter utilises his own organic matter on farm and also sources a range of additional materials to generate compost.
We end up with a big pile of husk at the end of the season, and that's the basis of our compost. We also have any material that we've got from outside the orchard is chipped and put in with that as we need to, so it just adds to the pile. When the season's finished in July, we get chicken litter, which is half sawdust and half manure, at about 25% of the mix. Depending on how much chip we've generated ourselves, we will probably buy in more organic matter of a very cheap source. We use cow manure because it's now available in large quantities and very cheap, and that can go in the mix as well. We're very happy with the cow manure. We used it last year as a fertiliser instead of chicken manure, and it had a phenomenal result in the growth of fungus all over the orchard. Amazing. And it's a measure internationally of soil health, is how much fungus is in your soil.
Peter works to minimise the loss of organic matter from his orchard by maintaining drains and promoting light penetration and grass cover. By managing erosion in this way, Peter is getting the most out of his investment in nutrition and soil health.
We spend about $2,500 a hectare just on nutrition, mainly chicken litter and compost. But that also includes getting the pH right, so every about 5 years we put a tonne of horty lime determined by soil tests.
During dry conditions when nutrient uptake through the roots is limited, Peter also applies foliar fertilisers as part of his spray program to ensure nutrient uptake.
The other foliar treatment we use is during extreme drought and heat. We use a kelp. Kelp greatly enhances the ability of the plant to cope with very stressful times.
Peter also irrigates during prolonged dry periods.
In the very dry times, it has saved shedding and has also resulted in visibly larger nuts on the trees that we've irrigated.
Frequent and timely harvesting is key to maximising nut quality while minimising losses due to prolonged wet weather.
We aim to have all the nut picked up before any rain event. It doesn't always work, of course, but currently have the capacity to cover all our orchards in 2 days and pick up about 90% of the nut. So that's what we aim for with the rain event coming, to get up as many nuts as we possibly can, because you really don't know what's going to happen in that rain event. It might be nothing, but it'll certainly be a delay to harvesting anyway. In the second half of the harvest, when the days are very short, we harvest at night time. Light bars on harvesters, you can see better in the night time than you can in the daytime, and the ability to get the nut picked up is greatly enhanced because you start out in the mornings, it's too wet till 11 o'clock to efficiently do it. You get lots of wheel jams and problems with any water on the ground, but once it dries out, you've only got 3 or 4 hours till dark. So if you harvest at night time, say up till 12 o'clock, you've got a long period of time. So even at the end of the season, when it's short days, you can still get most of the nuts picked up in a couple of days.
Peter does all his dehusking in his shed to minimise harvesting time and compaction.
We often only have a few days when it gets dry enough to when it starts raining again. And if you've got a dehusker on board, that's another machine that can go wrong and slow you down from harvesting. Maybe it takes another day longer to get on because you have all that extra weight. And when you're harvesting on wettish ground, it causes more compaction from the weight.
Monitoring, appropriate timing and effective coverage are all important aspects of Peter's approach to pest and disease management.
It's important to be able to get around your orchard quickly. You can't always get it on at perfectly the right time. The flowering pests are the critical ones because you have a short period of time. And we make sure that it's actually getting to the tops of the trees. They're a little bit taller every year. And we use a pest monitor. A second opinion in most things you do is always good, and they give you a perspective that you can't get from your own farm. But don't rely on it totally because they come around every 2 weeks, and at that period things with lacebugs change very quickly. It can look pretty good and a week later you've got no crop. Timing is with lacebug is essential.
Peter is undertaking progressive row removal as his trees grow. This is informed by LIDAR to further assist with management.
We have been using canopy management for many years. We've understood the problem a long time ago, and we started on a program to eliminate rows and build drains. We haven't been effective, so we've got some paddocks which are well grassed and well drained, and others which we've got behind on. We did all ours without LIDAR. We've had the LIDAR done on our property and it's just amazing. It's completely accurate and it's exactly right, and it tells you exactly what to do. And very useful maps come out of that as well for other farm management purposes. So we've gone to a progressive removal of rows, which we believe results in very little loss in yield.
Being responsive to seasonal changes and prioritising tasks to maximise yield underpins Peter's ongoing management.
What I've experienced in my 33 years here is every season is different. Pests-wise, climate-wise, you get a problem that you have to solve to save your crop, and that has to take priority. So it's a matter of focusing on what's most important for your yield.
Like many of the industry's top growers, Peter's holistic approach, attention to detail, and adaptability are all important contributors to his high productivity.